Now that we're just about done with this core base mesh that can be reused for most of your bipeds, let's finesse a few more pieces for the head and for the foot. So the foot is still very cubic, very blocky looking. The hands, however, we're happy with. They look really good right now. Like before we sculpt them, they have the edge loops to support the knuckle bending. We have the webbing in here. The bottom pad comes forward, the top knuckle goes back. I think we could add one more set of edge loops around the back of the knuckle right here. So if I'm going to grab this one and control click, go around the whole thing, connect one time, hit enter. Just added one more edge loop there. And we could also check around the wrist right here. Looks like, oh, we did not seal those. Well, I thought we did. All right, so good thing we double checked. And there must have been a crash, so I have to go ahead and remerge these together. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll grab these, go into the full viewport mode here, and isolate the selection, combine them, and we'll go into these vertices one at a time. Right here, using the target weld, and this should be very familiar at this point, what we're doing. And going from whichever piece of the body has the better shape that's holding, that's what you want to snap to. Usually it's going to be the cylinder snapping to the anatomy piece you've been working on, but sometimes you want to snap the anatomy piece that's anatomical to the rounded cylinder. Yeah, let me grab that one too, that one instead. And you want to be careful about the alignment of the edge loops. So you have your horizontal and vertical edge loops. There we go. That should seal up pretty nice. And we hit 3 on the keyboard. Go in here and just round that off for a minute. Yeah, so there's no gaps or holes or harsh seams. And yeah, all the flexors and extensors. So the extensors are the muscles here that extend the fingers up. The flexors are the muscles in the front here that create the finger curl to bring them inward. That's all stuff you want to sculpt. You don't want to vertex push all those individual muscles, especially same thing when you come down the legs, top of the feet. So let's go down here and get into the vertices around the feet. So F on your keyboard, go down here, and we'll get it out of isolation mode. And we'll just take a look here at the foot. So we're going to add a couple more edge loops to finish this off. So we can go to the front view here and see what's happening with the ankle area. And we probably can just do one at a time. So let's focus on the front first. For the viewport, what I did over here, you see this says back Z, this says front Z. This typically was the top. When you're doing the biped, I only really needed the top viewport all that much for the hand, when we did the hand from the top down view. So if you go to the panel, inside each of the viewports has these controls. So I went to the panel, orthographic, and I went new, and I went to the back on here, so that way I could go back and forth from the back of the viewport here to get around the ankles, right? Because remember, the image plane has one side is the back, one side is the front, designed that way on purpose to make it super easy to hop back and forth for your anatomical detail. And then this one here is our front. So in the front, we can kind of see all the curves and angles of the way the muscles and the bones curve around here for the ankle. So that's really helpful. Grab this. If you go to the move tool, if you want to do the B, if you want to do the soft select just to get like a little bit of softer bends, hold down B, middle mouse drag to the right. It goes up a little bit higher and then curl that in. Same thing here around the calf region. We can grab that and bring that in, and around here, the outside of the knee, you'll see that soft select gives you that really soft bend here. Hence the word soft select, right? There we go. Bring the calf out right there. And you just hit the B key when you do need that extra, we'll call it the extra oomph, extra strength in the movement. And then I'm just scaling and moving, tracing around the image plane a bit here. And these are loose. They're not meant to be followed with super precision. So I'm gonna, after I'm done doing this, I will spend quite a bit of time manipulating these around, or whatever we, according to the other anatomy reference. We're not just gonna follow this image plane blindly. So this is important to notice. See, the inside ankle is higher, the outside ankle is lower. So every single bend here, the inside of the knee is lower, the outside the calf comes up higher. Every angle from the front, from the side, from the back, there's going to be angles on these. So we're going to start moving those around a little bit. So for this one, I can go E, I can scale that just a little bit and bring that over and then scale it out. And then the one above it, let's bring that down above the ankle and scale that in. There we go. And maybe we sculpt that, maybe we don't. Let me undo those. Let's keep the edge loops flat for the time being, just because when you are rigging and you are getting those bends, a lot of times the base mesh is actually quite uniform and you're sculpting in that detail and you're bringing it in the normal map, and it doesn't necessarily help the rigging as much as you'd like. So we're going to leave that for right now. I'm just kind of pointing that out. We can come back to it. Same thing here at the knee. See the bottom of the knee? A lot of people miss, especially when you're still learning anatomy. But the bottom inside of the knee here really comes in quite a bit in relation to the calf below. And so you don't want to have pucker points, basically. You don't want to have this one right here. I call it the sausage link effect, where it's like, okay, it's right here, and then it curls up. It's like, no, it's going to come in here and then up higher the one above it, right? It's an overlap. So this arc's here, and then this arc goes below it. It feels like maybe I'm belaboring the point, but it's actually incredibly important. You say I missed that one on accident. If you get them off, you could just grab the whole set, go to R, scale it down so they're flattened. Just for this early stage, at least, while we're getting all of these as accurate as possible before we go and do the sculpting. And constantly remind it's a student version that we're using. It's for educational purposes only. Yes. Just probably a good reason why you more and more are using Blender and getting away from using this, but it's still the industry standard. So for now, we're just going to keep on using Maya. All right, it's going down to the foot here. So that was all through the front, right? So if we go spacebar and go over here to the back, now I can look at the ankle region. And for this one, we just got to be careful we don't grab the vertices from the front. So let's go back into the perspective viewport for just a moment here and take a look at what we're doing. So yeah, indeed the feet come out just a little bit. So keeping things from being super rigid 90-degree angles, I do find that it does help to have the feet curl out just a tiny bit and start getting all these like smooth, elegant curls and arcs. So I'm going to hold down D. I'm going to back up that pivot more centered to where the foot would rotate at the ankle. There we go, right about there. And then from the top view here, I'm going to switch over to rotate, and just going to rotate that foot out just a little bit, just so it's relaxed. You want the character to be relaxed. We're going to do the same thing with the arms. We're going to bring the arms down, and we're going to relax the elbow bend. We're going to relax the bend at the shoulder. We're going to relax the hands and the fingers. But not until we have all the edge loops in the right position, then you relax the model. And I'll highlight that in the notes, but that's really super important, is following those steps and making sure that you're not getting too detailed in the anatomy when your edge loops are still unresolved. So right here we have the arc from the top of the foot. So I'm just going to grab this and just bring it down. Looks like I missed that vertex right there. And just make sure, go to X-ray mode for a second, make sure I didn't grab anything from the back on accident. Looks like we're okay. Looks like we're okay. And there's like a little turn going right there. We're going to fix that. Don't worry. So we'll grab that. Bring it down just a bit. Go back to the front ball of the foot right here. E, reset. Make sure we have tool settings up and ready. So we'll reset that pivot. D, and bring it back. Bring it back right about there. Ought to be good. And let's get that kind of straightened out a little bit better. There we go. That's looking pretty good. That might be a little bit much, but it's okay. Rotating these back and forth is really simple to do. Let's get the outside of the foot over here and bring in the ankle. Look at it from the backside view here over here. So I'm going to turn back off the symmetry or the transparency. And we're going to bring in these bottom edge loops underneath the ankle. There's a really significant, and reset that pivot. There's a really significant bone at the heel. That's one of the strongest bones in the body, and it goes up to the Achilles. And so you really want to accentuate just how much weight goes on the ball of our foot. And I'm kind of adjusting these. And we could use another edge loop going through the foot up around the top, but I'm going to hold off for the time being, because I think we're just going to bring this edge loop down a bit more and then cut another edge loop in the top because we only have 2 edge loops there, 1, 2. And as I mentioned earlier, it's good to have 3 edge loops now at each of the major bend angles. So we got 3 edge loops at the elbow, 3 at the wrist. Did I add that edge loop in the wrist? I did not add that edge loop in the wrist. Oopsie. Grab all those edges there, connect, and slide that over. If you want to, we could do the slide edge tool and just middle mouse drag it out, and that'll keep the thickness that we have in the wrists. Not the wrists are all that great in their proportions yet, but just reinforcing the tool and scale that down. Bring that up just a little bit. There's a downward arc from the top here. There we go. And then we'll kind of scoop in or cup the top of that forearm. There we go. Okay, let's go back down to the feet. Just kind of hopping back and forth a little bit there. Once you see something, I'm gonna grab it. And yeah, this comes in a little bit severe at the moment, so let's fix that. So we'll grab these faces here. And so the pivot, the turn should happen for the entire foot, right? So let's bend those over and bring them over. So I probably should have done that whole bottom sole of the foot together in one shot. That would have been a little smarter. But yeah, never perfect. It's okay. There we go. And that's looking much better, except for the inside. There's a pretty good zigzag going on right here between these 2 edge loops from the inside of the foot and the outside of the foot. So let's fix that. Cats are going crazy. I wonder if they're coming across the mic. We'll find out. There's the inside of the foot. You can see that's a bit farther back, and the outside is a bit more forward. So let's go ahead and start with the inside part right here. So we'll bring that out a bit. We'll do the arch of the foot. So let's add one more edge loop right here. Double click and connect. Enter. And that'll give us a little bit more space to create that arc. Whenever you need an arc, you need 3 vertices to create an arc. That's kind of the golden rule. Just 3 peak points will get you that arc that you need. And then right at the bottom of the inside of the foot here, if you look at having your foot and your hand, your own feet and hands available is really handy. So don't be shy about using yourself as reference for any of this stuff, really. All body types are useful to study. And you're going to always be your own best model. You go find a professional figurative drawing, figure sculpting model to pose for you, like unless you're fortunate enough to be in classes. Okay, so I'm grabbing the front of the foot here, bringing that down, and we'll protrude that out. Go back to the side image plane here, second one, and you see we have quite a distance to go here still, so we'll go ahead and pull that out a bit. And we're just going to do a boot for today. We're not going to go full on with the foot and toes just quite yet. We're going to hold off on that a bit. And then one more edge loop here down the middle again, so connect that. And from the top only, we can let go of the bottom pieces and just trying to flatten that out. So there's a pretty good dip down right here, the top of the foot, and not quite that much, so we'll bring this down a little bit more. There we go. And then there's a slope that goes kind of from the big toe kind of downward a bit, so we can grab this one certainly, and that one for that matter. We can kind of angle that down, add that to our selection, angle that down a bit more. Grab the outer edge loops of the foot right here, and let's bring those out. We're kind of going for that slipper look for right now, and grab these 2, and we'll curl that arc back, similar to what we did with the fingers. Yep, this is going all right. Okay, and then the outer part, we want like a nice wide arc that goes back into the ankle over here. And this side of the foot here is going to slope downward, so we're going to start emphasizing that slope down. Before we do it, let's go ahead and add that edge loop that we need to support bringing that other one down. So we double click around the top of the ankle, connect one time, hit enter. There we go. See a little zigzaggy happening. This is actually about what we want. It's going to go around the top where there's a lot of those tendons here. If you flex your toes upwards, you can see those tendons in action. And let's go grab, this one, double click, and it should stop. Remember, if you double click an edge, it'll go to the edge loop until it comes to a 5-star intersection. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So therefore, when it comes to the intersection, it's got 2 to go left, 2 to go right. It doesn't know which one's straight. And then same thing when you go to 3. So this, we know that's a 5-star on both sides, so we can just bring this whole thing down. Then let go of the 2 connectors. Take that one away. There we go. So now we just have the back side here, and we're going to bring that way down. There we go. And most of the flex is going to happen with the toe going down. It doesn't go up nearly as much as your toe can go back down. So remember where you're at in the relaxed pose and how far the rotational angles are for each direction of the foot. So this one's a little bit of a point. We can relax that just a little bit more, relax that one a little more. That one definitely got indented, so we got to relax that. And as we relax these, we'll discover where we need more or less edge loops for the foot.